it's not the skills, it's not the technical stuff. Somebody could be technically really excellent and pitch perfect, and you might not feel much when they sing.
Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about the meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time yet. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up.
Welcome to Bombastik Broadcasting with Kat, Kim, and Sue. As you know, here at Bombastik Broadcasting, it is our divine, harmonious joy to bring you people who are lifting up themselves and each other by getting the fire in their soul and taking it one step at a time. I am very excited to introduce you to a woman I've known for quite some years. Rachel Flower is her name, and she is from our neck of the woods here in Tahoe. Her game is Soul Flower Somatics. And this woman has done everything from breathwork to sound healing. The somatic part of it is really a holistic approach to mental and emotional well-being that recognizes the interconnectedness of the mind and body. There's also some medicine work that she's done in here and some really cool stuff. So without giving it all away, let me hand it over to Sue.
A lot of different lives.
Yes.
I like that, Rachel. I love your business's name, Soul Flower Somatics. That's beautiful. Soul Flower.
Thank
so
you.
I know we're going to get into the psychedelics and all that kind of fun stuff in a minute, but I just wanted to start off asking you about the sound healing. I love the sound of sound healing. How did you get into that?
Do you know, a lot of these things have come to me without a full-on focused intention, as much as things started to happen and I started to experiment. And it was actually, I mean, I've had crystal bowls for a long time, maybe 15 years, and I've used them occasionally when I would do group events and sometimes here and there. But then a few years ago, I was working with a client and she was having a really hard time getting into her body and feeling and meditating and things and grounding. And almost out of desperation, I remember picking up this singing bowl and just playing it for her. And she said, I think this is the first time I've ever meditated in my entire life.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, ooh, I think I'm onto something, rather than just using this for, often it would be for ceremonies and particular group events. I started working it into my individual sessions with people and finding that it was adding so much to the somatic work I was already doing with them, help them ground in the beginning, help them move through things, working with bowls on their bodies. Anyway, it became a bit of a thing, and I'm a bit obsessed with instruments now. So I keep buying new things, new bowls. I'll show you actually. You can't see the full glory, but I have a gong over there. Most of my bowls are in the other room right now because I just worked with a client earlier in a different space. So I moved my instruments around, but suffice it to say, the instruments have got a mind of their own, and they started finding me. That gong found me. I've had gifts from people, a harmonium, a drum. I've got djembes. I mean, there's so much has been happening, and I've been incorporating sound into the breathworks. So whilst it's mostly recorded music, I also bring in percussion, shakers and different bowls and cymbals and gongs. And it somehow helps people on their journey too. So it's just taken on a life of its own for sure. Yeah, great question.
Fantastic.
I love it. Yeah.
I love the whole concept of breath work. What do you feel that it adds to your practice?
Well, it's become an integral part in so many ways. I mean, breath is somatic. Somatic really means, maybe for those folks that aren't familiar with that word, I think it's getting a bit more popular nowadays, but somatic really means of the body. So we're working to help access subconscious patterns, trapped emotion, and release it. And the body is so wise. Millions of years of beautiful design have gone into this vessel that we're using here. And most of us are not breathing consciously. We're just breathing. As my husband says, he goes, I know how to breathe. I'm like, yeah. And how many of those 20,000 breaths that you take every day are you conscious of? Because when we link an unconscious process with our conscious mind, there can be an alchemy that happens. It's a way of going deeper. So what I found is that breathwork has formed the front, the middle, and the end of many processes I'll work with people, either in groups or individually, because in itself, it's a very powerful modality. People can access altered states, they can clear emotions, they can move some trauma through, they can have amazing ideas. It works on the mind, the body, the spirit, everything. And I've also found it to be a very powerful integration tool. So let's say I've worked with somebody very deeply, to do a breath work with them will help them ground. Or if somebody's kind of stuck, a breath work might help them break through. But there's different kinds of breath work too. I won't go into all of that right now, but some for upregulation, some for downregulation, some for energy and focus, some for shifting trauma and having a transformational experience. So there's it's become a very powerful modality to weave into everything, if that's the kind of short version of the long answer I just gave you.
Yeah. I totally get that. The first time I did breath work was at Wanderlust. And of course, it was a huge room, but I was bawling my eyes out. And I think a lot of other people were too. And I didn't, it was kind of sad that there were so many people there because, I didn't really know what to do with it. You know what I mean? What to do with what I was feeling.
That's a really good point as well. We can be in rooms with lots of people. I've done big ones. I've led ones of up to 40 people. And then I've also done it individually with people as part of a journey we're taking individually. And then in between that, I've got my regular Sundays and often other weekdays where it might be 8 people, 6 people. And so it's more intimate and people have gotten to know each other. And so there's a level of trust and connection and ability, maybe ability to be a bit more vulnerable and real, but the group itself can help add to the amplification of the effects. So, there's all kinds of settings, right? It's a powerful modality and it can be used in so many beautiful ways. And just as you were saying, you've experienced it in one setting. I'm curious what would happen if you were in a smaller group or individually or in a different group or a different guide. We've all got our own styles too.
When I was in this huge room and the whole room was breathing at the same time and it felt like the room was like lifting off the earth,
I can imagine that actually.
Absolutely, right? Like, your whole body was just vibrating because it was like,
I know,
wow,
it's super intense at times and that can be powerful. It can be a little confusing sometimes to people that are new to breath work and they're like, what the heck is going on? But with a good guide, any number of people with the right support, the right container, it can be super powerful. I'm sure at Burning Man, there was hundreds of breathworks going on all over the place. Some of them probably with hundreds of people, and it could be super powerful to feel that connection in so many people. Yeah, it's just one of my favorite things. I love it.
It always amazes me when there's something so simple that you think it wouldn't even do anything. I'm an Aries, maybe that has something to do with it, but I'm like, it has to be big, it has to maybe hurt a little bit. And when I was first approached with breath work, it really helped me release some emotions, some trauma.
Right.
Well, and how important to have a guide. And that, I know you do regular events in the Tahoe area. So
I do actually also travel to people. I'm about to head up to Washington in about 3 weeks as well to work with some people. So we haven't really talked about this topic of medicine, but there are different ways of working with medicine and different medicines I work with. And by medicine, I'm talking entheogen, which really means, something that really, it's a more holistic word for a psychedelic that really brings you closer to your essence. But some of it is more above ground and some less so, depending on what. But it is, to your point about the guide, really to heal, to grow, to explore. Some people come for different reasons, right? They may come to heal something, or they may simply be ready for the next stage in their life. Like, I know there's more inside of me. That's a lot of what folks come to me with, or my creativity. It's not like necessarily they need to heal something, or some people do. There may be some deep trauma or some childhood pain that they're dealing with, or a block. But to me, the most important thing is, if I'm going to work with somebody, it's that there needs to be a deep level of trust and relationship. And so I'll always have an initial conversation with anyone before we do anything. And it might be quite long because we're getting to know each other. It's like, can we work together? Do you think, is this, and they learn about me and my background and, all the experience I've had and, whatever. And I can get to know them and the basics of their journey, at least. But then, so you've got relationship and trust, which in a space that's so vulnerable that you're dealing with, the Twilight Zone here. Yeah, we're entering.
I thought it was just
yeah, let's go. Income. So that trust and that safety and that ability to then feel completely held in a space and trust the person that they're going to be able to handle even your projection, because sometimes in deep altered states people like that, you don't like me, or you're judging me, or are you bored, or do you know how to hold this space, or are you okay, this is going on for a long time. And sometimes people will project. And so all these years and all this training, I've learned to take that and receive it and work with it as part of that person's process. And I always say to folks, we're a team. I'm not going to pathologize you and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. It's more, I know there's light inside of you. I know you're not broken. I'm looking to find that essence, that part that really is always there, and blow the embers back into flames. But we're a team in this. And even when medicine is involved, it's not the medicine really doing the work. We're doing the work with the help of the medicine. And the medicine will help get some of the chatter out of the way so that we can go deeper. And then there are different ways of working depending on dosage, depending on the medicine itself, depending on the intention and the relationship and, the body of work that we're doing. So there are so many variables, but I'm going to come back to that essence, the relationship. It's a relational model. So the way I work with people is not really the traditional sitter model, which has beautiful merits, it's completely powerful and amazing results. And the sitter model is where more the guide is quiet and letting the person have their experience and only talking if the person talks to them, right? If the client or the patient talks to them. The way I work as a somatic guide, and again, it depends on the medicine and the dosage, because there's times not to do somatic work with people. There's a lot of variables, but if I'm doing a somatic work with somebody, then there's a lot of guidance, but it's more in the form of questions and support to help the person go through what they need to do through. And I'm there for connection and contact as well if they need it. But we're working a little more actively and with a little more direction in that space. Now, at the other end of the scale, if we're working heroic doses, that changes again, So I won't go into all the details of it, but there is this relational model. I'm there as your teammate, as your guide, to support you on the journey, but not to tell you what to do, but to create that space of trust and containment. So your nervous system, your innate wisdom, which already knows what to do, can shine and work to its highest, most optimal level.
And when you're doing the medicine, are you doing usually one-on-one?
Not only, but that is probably the majority of my work. Is a lot of one-on-ones, but I do small groups. And I spent a lot of my medicine work training medium-sized retreats, which might be sort of 10, 12 people. I call that medium because some of the big ones might be 30, which I don't lead anything like that. Sometimes I'm working with a couple and their friends and they want to do something together and we might work something out. And so there can be customizable things. And then sometimes with co-facilitators and assistants, We can do larger groups like 8 or 10 and give people the support that they need, but in a larger space, with music, with sound baths, with all the different trappings of the journey that they're needing to take to grow to wherever they want to do. And it also depends on the topic. Are we going deep into trauma? Are we going into creativity? Are we activating the voice? Are, so many different directions we could go.
You do so many things in this spectrum. And as you're talking, it's very easy to see how they all integrate together. Like Kim was saying with the breath work that's experienced, but then the vibration of the breath alone. But then imagine, the instruments and the experience that you're creating. Do people need to prepare to do either somatic work with you or medicine work?
Yeah, such a great question. Yes. For me, if anyone works with medicine with me, and the medicine could be cannabis, it works great with somatic work, MDMA, mushrooms, less so with somatics. You might do breath work with that. There's variables and things. I work in conjunction sometimes with doctors who are working with ketamine.
Because that's a lot of mainstream now. It's surprising how the benefits that some of the veterans, for instance, are getting with that could not be helped before. I mean, that's fascinating and neat that it's more mainstream.
Yes. And so in terms of preparation, I would never take somebody straight into a medicine work. If we're doing a series, we would do a series of somatic sessions sober, to have them really understand and open up those pathways to access the autonomic nervous system in the direction we're taking, which is to support them in releasing and presencing without re-traumatizing, to give them a journey to build some tools and some resources. Resourcing is a very important part of somatic work because we want to have somebody ground and meditate and center and breathe and things like that, but also external resources to presence those and acknowledge those, such as their family support system, their environment that they're living in. Are they in a stable place? What is their background a little bit? So there's a lot of exploration that goes into our work together in the form of somatics, in the form of deeper questions to help me understand who they are. And then we can start perhaps layering it on with some enhancement, because the medicine itself can help guide people to deeper states. And in fact, my teacher in one of the modalities that I use, his name is Saj Razvi, and he trains people at the Psychedelic Somatic Institute. And there's some beautiful videos and lots of information about how to work in these altered states with the nervous system safely and in a trauma-informed and trauma-trained way. Because of course, that things can be unpredictable, people moving through deep experiences. And so again, to your point, Catherine, about the guide for whatever may arise and not judge. It's not even about, are they capable of holding the space, but can they also hold that open space of non-judgment, of compassion? They might be able to handle it, but are they also compassionate? Are they also non-judgmental and really able to bring out the strengths and the beautiful qualities in that person? So again, we start with resourcing and acknowledging and grounding those, learning some meditation tools, learning some somatic tools. And to your point as well about all these different things that I've gathered along the way. Firstly, I just love them. I love having different tools. And it's lovely, if somebody's feeling a little, amped up, to be able to put a bowl on their chest and help them, ground and feel connected. Right. And also to be able to, in a retreat, to go through a whole series of things like sound baths and movement and music and breath work and somatics, and build these tools and awarenesses that people can take away with them and run with. There's a lot you can do when you understand some of the basics of somatics in showing up for yourself. One of my clients who just left, he in the morning, he does a kind of somatic scan because, for a while he would wake up anxious just because of the nature of his work. And he learned to, scan his body and just kind of get real with how am I feeling right now? What's going on? Oh, my chest feels tight. Oh, I feel activated. My jaw's kind of clenching. Let's just kind of lean into that. What's going on? And so having that ability to show up for yourself and learn tools that you can take with you, breathing tools. As again, why I got into breathwork was not just because it's a great transformational tool, but it's also a great tool for helping people ground, helping them get clear and go away feeling more empowered. Oh, great. I've got a tool that I can use if I'm a bit agitated and I'm out in the shopping mall and I'm lost. Or I need to focus and I'm feeling really kind of scattered and all over the place. I've got a tool for that, you know. And so as I got deeper into breathwork, I realized, wow, there's so many ways you could use this. And then I feel that it's something I can empower my clients with so that they can go away and do things themselves. It's not me healing them. All I'm doing is creating the environment, giving them the information, the support, nudging them, cheering them on from the sidelines. But they're doing the work. I think that's why people love breathwork so much and it's cottoned on so much, because you're doing it. It's not somebody coming in and doing it to you and then they leave and then you're like, what did they do? It's wow, I did this with my lungs and my belly and I have my emotions and I came back and I'm still here and I'm not crazy. You know, it's so empowering and I love to be able to give people tools. A lot of people have gone away and bought sound instruments I've worked with, you know. 3 of my clients have gone off and bought a set of crystal bowls.
It really is.
Super powerful, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like microdosing, is that, and I'm kind of saying people go to parties and microdose. Are there pros and cons about that?
Technically, microdosing is sub-awareness. That's why it's called micro. So even people going to parties aren't necessarily going to notice a very dramatic difference. But microdosing, when it's done well, and there are folks that I send people to, I have support, you know, I've got a whole network of people, psychiatrists, licensed family and marital therapists, acupuncturists, microdosing experts. I, you know, love the network that I've been able to be part of, because then I can help send people where they need to go. But a lot of the time, microdosing people will do, especially for anxiety, depression, sometimes to be more creative, sometimes just to get out of their own way. Sometimes people are just curious, or they just want to know who they want to be when they grow up and they want to, you know, deepen a sense of purpose, or just there's something going on, you know, there's some, like, I know there's more, like I was saying earlier. And microdosing, technically, you don't necessarily feel the direct effect consciously, like, oh my God, I'm high or something, but it's more a cumulative effect of well-being that people might feel, and a lifting of some of that weight and that angst that so many of us feel at different times.
Well, they're on the search for more, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I like that you also said the network of people. Do you find that if you work in coordination, maybe with somebody who's a physical ailment, you know, like an elbow or something that just won't heal, that if you can coordinate with maybe their physical therapist, or to kind of get it from all different approaches with the breath work and maybe some medicine if that's right for them?
Yes, I actually just recently I sent somebody to a craniosacral expert friend of mine. I mean, in her case, it wasn't so physical, but there are 2 acupuncturists that I send folks to, especially if there are some physical presentations that are concerning. We work as a team. And of course, with the permission of the client, if the client says okay, then we will share information with the physical therapist or the massage therapist or the acupuncturist, and we can work together. Breathwork can have amazing effects on optimizing the healing systems in the body so that we're more able to heal. You know, it gets blood flow moving, lymphatic. It's moving toxins out of your body. And so in many ways, it's creating a better healing environment and certainly building immune system. And it can work with certain types of chronic pain. There have been folks who've had remission from that, because it's also to do with your relationship with the pain. And and how we focus on it and how we see ourselves, and breathwork and altered states can also help us see ourselves differently and have a different relationship with our body. So there's so many factors. There's lots of wonderful rabbit holes we could go into there, but yes. You know, basically, I think as practitioners and therapists, it really behooves us to build strong networks, because I like to work in conjunction, especially in medicine work situations, with mental health professionals as well, who are also part of the resource network for the client. So if I know somebody's working with a therapist already, then, and that therapist is open to the work that I'm doing, that's fabulous, because then we can work as a team and really provide more kind of 360 support for that person. Yeah, lots of good angles here.
How great to feel like you have a team working for you. If you're, you know, you have this thing that you can't quite get over, it must be really a nice force. But I'm sure you guys have, I don't want to hog her now either.
I'm going to jump in. If you
yeah, you go, girl.
Numerological. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Thank you. Yes, I've got lots of fun things. So numerology, about the same time that I started going down the medicine track, I got into numerology. And part of what was going on was I was dealing with menopause, and it wasn't very pretty emotionally. I was fine physically, a few hot flashes, big deal. You know, it wasn't a big deal. But emotionally, for all these years and all these crazy different modalities that I've studied over the years, you know, bioenergetics and Reiki and yoga and meditation and all this stuff, I was kind of a little bit humiliated by my own lack of ability to manage my emotions during menopause. And so I started to say, oh, I think I need some big guns here. And so I started to look more at, you know, things that could support me in another way. And along the way, I also found this particular modality of numerology called soul contract reading. It fascinated me because it's working with the phonetic sound of your name translated into Hebrew. And so it's a very different system than the classic numerology that we're all familiar with. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. This is very different, but you would find that it will correlate. Just like if somebody went for an Ayurvedic reading and they went to another naturopath and everything, it would correlate, but they're just coming at it from a different angle. You know, astrologically, it would all show. I got a reading from somebody with that modality and it blew my mind. I'm like, whoa, this is super powerful. And I was in that phase of a little vulnerability, like, who am I? I don't know if I know myself very well anymore right now. And so the reading that she gave me was so powerful. I thought, I want to learn this. And so she told me who her teacher was. And I went through all these layers over the years of firstly working with your name, then your also relationships, numerology and relationships, and then business. And then we did a whole section on phonetics. But the basic understanding is that your name carries a frequency, and that, let's imagine this. What if your parents didn't choose your name? What if you did through your parents? And that you kind of vibed in a certain way, even though it wasn't with words, and they somehow picked us like Rachel. That's her name, right? Sometimes it happens after the birth. I know some parents, you know, don't. And I've done hundreds and hundreds of readings over the last 11, 12 years that I've been doing this. And it's so powerful. It's a way of looking at what are some of the soul drives, you know, what are we stepping into? What are our skills and talents? It's not a predictive tool quite in the same way that astrology might be with transits and saying this is coming up and, you know, watch out for this. It's more, these are themes that you came into your life to explore. Here's some challenges that you need to overcome. This is your kind of the cross to bear in this life, and this is and then this is the way we can deal with it, and this is your soul purpose number, and this is how it might, you know, this is how you might want to explore it. And so it gave me another tool, which is also based on frequency. If you think sound is frequency, so is the sound of your name. And when you read your name or you speak out your name, you're relating to that frequency, that shape of sound that is your homing signal. That even if you change your name, we can work with that too, as well as your birth chart. And it will indicate what changes and what shifts may have been coming in. I've worked with people getting married, or people in relationship, or people deciding to change their name, or they're naming a business and they want to get attractive numbers. I've done a lot of that, actually. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think of it like a homing call. I mean, think of it, if you're in a party and somebody says your name quietly from the other side of the room, you're like, you can hear it, right? But if it's somebody else's name, you're oblivious. But there's something in the frequency of your name, and it's kind of like encoded with these numbers that are unconscious, but it still has an impact, right? It's driving us in some way. And when we can bring awareness, just like with breath work, we're bringing awareness to something that's normally unconscious. We don't consciously breathe 20,000 times a day. It's happening on its own, even when we sleep. And it's a bit the same with the name. This frequency is kind of like, these are your qualities. This is your name. This is where we're going. These are the challenges. And when we bring consciousness to it, we are now empowered to work with what we've got. And then to bring out the best, because all the numbers that you come in your name also have a high expression and a more contracted expression, same as astrology, right? I'm a Capricorn. I can be stubborn, stuck in the mud, but I can also be super reliable, steadfast, and loyal. So it all comes into play, right? There's a relationship between, and even planets, that's the frequencies and the gravitational pull. It still relates to these forces of nature, really, within us.
Whether it's right now or later, you'll have to do Bombastic for us, because how could we not ask that, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Of course, what if it's
That's okay. Let's just go.
Then we'll
with a K, right?
with a K.
Yes.
Right.
Bombastik.
Great name, isn't it? Right, let's take a look. I'm so sorry to have to tell you this,
She's already there.
but you have a home run.
A home run.
Actually, yeah, you got some really nice numbers there. Super attractive, and it's actually now, for a deeper, we're not going there today. This is just totally preview of coming attractions or something, but
There we go.
what I have to do normally with a business name is make sure, the dog agrees, right? So,
That's definitely says. He knew it was a great name.
I think he's in keeping with the theme of bombastic. It's like, I'm going to bark right now because I'm a bombastic. Here's the thing. Firstly, I would work with the people, the owners of the business, the founders, to make sure that their name is also a frequency match, right? So you want to have some connection with the business name. Otherwise, you feel strangely separated. The good news is usually businesses and names, there's only 22 numbers to choose from because it's the Hebrew alphabet. Anyway, long story, there's plenty of reason that it would overlay. But in terms of what energies are there, I'm going to ask you a question before I reveal something to you. What would you say are the energies that you are looking to bring into play, bring out in people, bring into the world? What is bombastic about? I mean, I get a sense obviously from the word, but I want to hear it from you.
Well, bombastic is really like just living above and beyond like what you're put on this planet to do. So I'll tell the little story. When I was little, I was had way too many ants in my pants. I used to be doing cartwheels and handstands all over the...
Used to. Right? So I was hanging out with you last night.
I would just be going absolutely bananas all over the place. And when guests would come over, my mom would be like, stop being so bombastic. sit down with your butt on the couch and your feet on the floor like a normal human being.
Oh, I
So
love
now
this is your brand story. This is great.
So I want to bring, people to their like ultimate max levels.
I just want to jump in and say Kim has all the same letters, K and I and M.
Oh, yeah. Right. Actually, that's a really good point. However, that's not quite how the numbers work. Good try. Good try, no cigar. Nice try. Nice try. No, it's actually a little different.
Hold on one second, because we're using the word bombastic with a K, because bombastic with a C has a slightly different meaning. To mean the wildest, scariest, freest, bigger than you can imagine, beyond the clouds, truest, raise the vibration of the world and shine love on humanity version of yourself.
Wow,
Well,
good
there you
answer.
There you go.
Yes.
So here, the beautiful thing is that you have a story that is so meaningful, and as somebody that also dabbles in and has supported people in developing their brand, because the numerology can help me understand who they are and what is the core of their business. So you have a very beautiful story that relates that it's got an emotional connection to you. And that really represents something that you care about. And that's really important, right? And it's got the energy that you want to bring to the world, and you couldn't help yourself as a kid. And now, it's like, yeah, I'm going to celebrate the very thing that I was shut down for, because this is who I am. So that's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. And so let me share with you that the energies that you come in, and not to go into we're not going into the weeds here. I'm just going to give you the big picture, kind of sensitive, but you get a couple of numbers that represent, is this business attractive or not? And certain numbers are more attractive in a particular position that they might be for a business. And you have one of the most attractive numbers at this position, which is 13-4, my favorite number in the series, which relates to the divine feminine. It relates to abundance. It relates to trust. So there is a sense of attractiveness to this. Okay. Nice job. Then there's another set of numbers that relate to, what do people experience when they step through the door of this business? What do they get to connect with? In this case, it is about really speaking. It's about getting out there. It's also about grounding and being in touch with your emotions and being full-bodied and fully expressed in those grounded emotions. So having that full range. So people come here to feel and be fully themselves, and maybe also to develop. This is about speaking, right? You're talking with me. You're giving people a platform to speak. And you yourselves are the platform for yourself too. So it's a beautiful thing. And then what do people get to take away with them? 11-2 relates to structure and teaching and bringing in truths, bringing in truth to the world from a new perspective, or being open to new perspectives. So it's kind of got some moon energy, which is, that sort of love and connection, but also the structure that I love to see in a business name. So it's got some really badass things. And so what I often end up doing is looking at the website, the .com and .net. They have different frequencies. We can look at email subject lines. We can look at the names, like that phrase on my business, Soulflower Somatics, has excellent numerology. The phrase that I use, remember why you came here. Also, I tested with my numerology, right? It's also a line in one of my favorite songs called Blessed We Are by a beautiful singer called Pia. And it says, remember why you came here. It's a beautiful song. And there's a whole story there. But Soulflower Somatics, obviously my name being Rachel Flower, why not? Let's use it. So
is that your real name, Rachel Flower?
It's actually my real name.
Too good. I love that. It's so great. I know. It's so great.
Yeah.
Did you choose that for yourself before birth?
Apparently,
I
am honing in on those flower people over there, the little stalk. I told the stalk to go and have me land there. And
Yeah.
pick up the name.
Please take me to the flowers.
But actually, the etymology of the word flower doesn't relate to flowers in a garden. You know, in England, your name is your profession, right? It used to be back in the day. Obviously, now it's kind of become a bit meaningless. But back in the day, there were a lot. You know, you'd be a smith, would be a blacksmith, right?
Right.
Fletchers were the people that put the heads on arrows. Flowers were the people that put the tails on arrows, so the arrow would go true. And at the bottom of my website, if you go to the soulflowersomatics.com, there's a little bit about me, and I talk about the arrow, and that I love seeing myself as somebody that helps others have their arrows go true in that right direction. Because if you think of an arrow without the feathers on the back, without the tail, it would go all over the place. It's the feathers that actually keep it in alignment so that it can follow its true path. So there you go.
Trajectory. I love
Trajectory. Story you have as well. Yes. Oh my gosh. Right. And that just comes full circle with all that you've told us about you and the, you know, the fire in your soul for what you're doing and how it's grown, you know, organically over this time. I mean, so much in your toolkit.
I think I'm a jack of many, many trades, but probably not a master of any of them. But together they make me a little bit unique.
Absolutely. You sound
just like you spoke your story about, you know, following that true fire inside of you, right? That bombastic, the true meaning of it, right? Really elevated and lifted and out there, expressed.
yes.
So what I'm finding is that I'm being guided by my curiosity and my passion, and things are coming to me, instruments. I went to Brazil 5 years ago and I came back and I picked up a guitar. Like that totally inspired me. And I started voice lessons a couple of years after that, because I really, really felt that it was a calling for me to find my voice on a deeper level. And so I've just been following. And to me, that's the best way. What interests you? What brings you to life? Do more of that. Isn't that what life is about? And so, and then when these things are actually tools to help other people find more of that fire inside of themselves, then I'm all over that. That's just like catnip. That's just.
I have to say too, when we talk about voice, I get really, really excited about that, because there is some courage to use your voice. There's a place and time where you have to be brave to use your voice, and maybe where not to use your voice. I still want to learn how to sing, so maybe I'll come see you for that. That's my goal this year. I'm like, I want to learn how to sing. I know I'm a jazz singer deep down inside here.
A jazz singer?
Yes.
I love
a bombastic jazz singer.
Bombastic jazz singer.
It's coming. It's coming.
Fantastic.
So, you know, whatever this is calling you to explore in yourself, I just wanted to shout that out.
The beautiful thing seems to be that there's so many amazing ways to get rid of the things that are holding you back, the things that are bringing you down, you know, just so many amazing ways. And you seem like you work with a lot of them, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, I think I've been my own experiment. You know, I think that is part of my fascination, is I've had to deal with these very same things myself. And Catherine, to come back to you and this voice piece, I could hear the vulnerability in your voice as you're sharing. And it's no mistaking that the numbers in this name Bombastic relate to finding voice.
I can't wait to hear my jazz voice.
So, I would just say, start singing. Just do it. Sing, you know, sing in the shower, sing with the, you know, in the car. Those are great places where we're perhaps a bit less inhibited. Actually, we have started doing these music nights once a month here at my place. It's come one, come all, bring your instruments. We come to sing together, and bring a song if you wish. If it's easy, all the better. That way we can all sing along. I've got drums and percussion instruments, lots of guitars. There's lots of things for people to play with. And there's a reason we say play music. We don't say work music. We play.
Got that.
Fun.
That's
Don't we
fantastic.
all need a bit more play in our life? We love to work in collaboration. We actually have a retreat space here. Often I will co-facilitate with people. Sometimes people have their own retreats. Sometimes I lead them on my own. To me, collaboration is another beautiful way of us finding our voices and how do we work together, you know?
It's really inspiring. Listen to other people talking about things that matter to you, make sense to you.
Yeah, let's have a bombastic retreat here.
Oh my God.
You know, all the people that have been on our show, every time it's at the end of it, we just want to hang out with you and we want to get to know you better. And one of our dreams is that we want to do a retreat. And then we learned about Rachel doing retreats right here in the Tahoe backyard. So
yes,
that is the bombastic dream right now.
Which kind of leads us into, we do believe that a rising tide lifts all boats, which is exactly what you're just saying here. And what else can we do to, float your boat?
Exactly.
Oh, well, thank you. I have a couple of websites, both Soulflower Somatics. One is more the events site. Soulflower Somatics will bring you to some of the latest events. So I do a breath work every week. We do these monthly music nights. And it's also kind of general. Here are the offerings here at the retreat space. This is the kind of thing we do. Contact me. And then there's soulflowersomatics.com, which is more the general information about somatic work and a bit more of my background. But also, there's 2 psychedelic societies that I'm often doing presentations for if people want to go down that route. There's the TahoePsychedelic.org and SierraPsychedelic.org. I just did a breathwork for SierraPsychedelic.org last night in Reno, the Tahoe Psychedelic Society. I have lots of really cool events. Breathwork is such a beautiful bridge because it can enhance and help us integrate our experiences, but it can also be a psychedelic experience on its own. To your point, you're sharing earlier some of your experiences, so it's very powerful modality.
As we're rounding out, because I know we're at the end of our episode here, they're never long enough. All the fun, all the getting to know of the people. Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
So welcome. My pleasure.
Can I ask one thing?
Yeah.
Can I ask one thing? I don't know if there's a little bit of a little exercise, like a mini, like half a minute breath you can teach our audience.
What a great idea. Okay. So right now, let's just do a little somatic presencing. In a way, this would have been really good to do right at the beginning, wouldn't it? And we got so excited and we jumped straight in. So we're going to backload the whole thing and bring it in for a landing. So I'm going to invite you just to land in this moment. Whatever your day has been like and wherever you've been, take a moment to just follow your breath in and out. You can let your eyes drift closed or soften them. And maybe we'll do a nice sigh together at the count of 3. 3, 2, 1, deep breath in and then release. Just take a moment to feel your body here in space. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the surface of your body. Just take a moment. How is my body in space? How does it feel just to be right here? And maybe ground. Imagine sending a few roots down just to connect you with the earth that's always there supporting us. And maybe just take one moment to sit with your heart and just ask yourself, how are you today? How are you feeling right now? No need to change it. No need to fix anything. We're really just asking, how are you feeling? What's that internal weather system feel like right now? Just hold space for a moment for yourself. It's always a good thing just to ask, how am I doing right now? Many of us forget to do that. We're going to gently come back. I know this is a very short half-minute mic process, so gently bring yourself back. But before you fully open your eyes, just soften your gaze as you come back. So you're not suddenly coming into focus and getting into that more strategic mode. We can stay a little peripheral. And gently as you open your eyes, notice where they're drawn. Notice perhaps a little bit of color and form. Take it in for a moment. Really take it in. Without looking at it, simply receive it. quietly in a more open way. Yeah. And then gently welcoming yourself back here in this space, saying hello. I see you here. Always good to remember to do.
Who knew?
I know.
Who knew your breath could be so psychedelic? Your voice is transformative. Like all the colors are even deeper. Wow,
I'm seeing kind of a psychedelic sunset right now. It's quite beautiful. I don't know what you can see over there, but it's
really?
With the
definitely influenced
I'll
what I
bet.
just did. It's beautiful. It's just beginning to fade. It's kind of got that bright peachy, pinky color, and it's just starting to fade now. But it was like, yeah.
Well, with that deliciousness, I'll have to say, be brave, be breathful, and most of all, be you.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up. My man Mo said that the reason that the world fucked up is cause everybody lazy. Positivity is corny to them, but they still gon' complain about the bad going on. Shit crazy. So I just had to drop a little project. I don't know what the object is, but this feels good. If you too hood for the good vibe, sorry I ain't got nothing for you. Why should I?
You shouldn't. We out here doing the things that y'all wouldn't. Life could be a sweet ride, proof is in the pudding. These guys with the weak vibes, I'll show them where to put it. Down bad, I was looking for the answer. Mind all mad, taking over like a cancer. Canceled the sub plans, came from up above. Told me everything we doing, showing love, and I gotta
wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up.
I've been getting so high, head up in the clouds. I don't ever wanna come down, but I gotta
wake up.
Ain't enough time to be down. Bust a smile, cause it's yet another day that I'm allowed to
wake up.
Feeling blessed to be alive, man. Not long till we thriving. Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Most.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about that meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do.